I said, give me that. Rock the rhythm, come on, rock the rhythm, rock the rhythm, come on, I said, give me that. Rock the rhythm, come on, rock the rhythm, rock the rhythm, come on, rock the rhythm, come on, rock the rhythm.
Stare insieme a te. Every night, every day, there's a way to be loved. And when the sun becomes, I feel you in my mind.
Photos of agro-industry will include fishing, will include citrus, will include agriculture in general. But actually agriculture and the agro-industry in general bring together those colors and those elements that make Malta what it is. Because actually agro-industry is so close to folklore. It's actually closer than we think.
One of the benefits of our photographing in Malta is the light is consistent during the summer period. So basically what will happen is if you don't capture a particular scene today, you know the light's going to be exactly the same tomorrow. And this will go on for about approximately at least 3 months of the year. So, you know, photographically it makes it ideal that the colour, the actual light itself has a particular colour balance that makes it really attractive at certain times of the day. So then the key then is really basically to find the right time of the day, and then you'll ensure that your photographs will always turn out good.
We were in Gozo, we're taking photos of citrus trees and also of, we have some details of vines and other not non-decorative kind of plants. Mm-hmm. Do you see the citrus tree, for example? How much is it Maltese for you? Now that you haven't lived in Malta for long. Do you see it as Maltese, as Mediterranean, or
not really? No, not really. Usually, when someone thinks of the Mediterranean, the first things you think of is, you know, like olives, prickly pears, things like that. I don't normally associate, you know, which is just my own lack of knowledge here, lemon, you know, citrus basically.
Well, we do have one village that is known for its citrus, actually, which is Lija.
Right.
So, for example, today there's an effort in rebuilding the olives industry. And we actually, as you know, we found it difficult to find olives in the season we were trying to take photos. These were in a private garden, actually.
Yep.
Do you see the olive, for example, still? For example, and many Maltese don't still link the olive with the Maltese agricultural industry. Not yet, again,
Right.
because it was lost by time. Is it, for example, do you see the olive as part of the Maltese folklore?
Yes, I do.
And for example, I love the green of the olive tree. What part of the olive tree really attracts you? For example,
Olive
there's the
trees,
trunk.
quite honestly, I don't find any attraction with olive trees. None at all. I find that I would find it a real difficult subject to actually photograph because the shapes of the olives and the actual leaves, there's no major distinction, sort of, which is only like, you know, I don't have obviously a prickly pear, for example, has a lot more interesting things for me to look at. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I haven't.
You don't identify with taking photos of the olive tree?
No. Whilst, you know, I'd more identify with olives in, say, food, in a food shot rather than actual on the tree.
Okay, so today we have been to Gozo, spent most of the day there. It's been hot and humid, but we enjoyed every minute of it. Had a bit of a somewhat a strong light, but we managed to do. We thoroughly enjoyed the visit to the fields where the lemon trees grove is and the olive trees, and even the visit to the factory where they do the limoncello liqueur. It was not easy taking pictures there because the light was a bit too strong, but I think we managed to find the right angles and the right context to build up the whole picture of this whole event.
These pictures were taken when
On a very hot day in Gozo.
On a very hot day in Gozo. I remember you complaining about the light. You were worrying that you will not get the light that you would like to capture. But actually, the pictures are stunning.
Yes, luckily we had some shade in this area from the tall canes, but again it was very strong light. It was I remember it was still in the morning or
yes, it
very
was
early afternoon. If you see the shadow, it's very strong. You can't see anything because of the. But anyway, in its whole, it's a very pleasing picture, I think, in this case.
When you see the farmer and the leaves, the rubble wall, it is what makes Malta's countryside.
Yep.
Do you see it as folklore? What part is artistic? What part is folklore in your perception of the scenery?
I think it will be a combination of both. I mean, primarily, I look at the artistic side. How am I going to present this visually so that it will make a nice whole composition aesthetically? But again, he is folklore all the way.
Yes, the costume,
The way he's dressed, the rubble wall, and you know, I mean, the straw hat. So you know, it would be a combination of things.
the sun included.
Oh, yeah.
The-
Tell me.
You managed to catch the farmer in moving, you know, going away to walk in the,
Yeah.
to work in the fields. How much do you see it as part of a bigger picture? For example, these are specific shots. I mean, over here we were looking for lemons, for
Exactly.
citrus trees. And there weren't many because it was practically out of season.
The wrong part of the season.
The
Yeah.
wrong part of the season. But actually, what if you were to give a name to this photo? Or a subject?
Well, again, as you said, we didn't find a lot of lemons in the day, but there were a couple, and you have to create a picture, a story with what you have. So you know, I put I can't remember his name right now, but Charlie, I think. I put Charlie there, you know, I mean, to get the estate into the picture too. You know, I mean, okay, you can place him in front of a lemon tree, but that would be too obvious, you know. So, I mean, apart from telling the people that this guy is a farmer and he cultivates lemon, there's a much bigger story to it, you know. And again, there was the problem of the sun, but and the strong shadow on the face. But I put some fill-in flesh in this case to bring up a bit the subject.
Today we spent the whole day, practically the whole day, in Gozo. We visited fields with lemon groves where they grow lemons for a typical lemon liqueur, which they call limoncello. It's been a lovely day. I think Gozo, the island of Gozo, always offers a fantastic backdrop for photography. Its countryside is a perfect backdrop. It's the colors, the lighting. Although the time of day wasn't the best time possible, but you can always make something out of it.
John, you took photos of olive trees, old olive trees. What part of these olive trees actually strikes you?
Definitely the trunk of the tree.
And why is that?
Well, the rest of the tree, I think there isn't really anything which you can play around with. But the trunks are amazing. It's not just the olive tree. Any tree trunk inspires me in some way or other. But that particular tree I went to visit in Gozo, Ala, I think it was. It was impressive. It was a very old tree. Apparently, if I can remember correctly, it was about 300 years old. And the trunk was just incredible. The shapes, the texture, even the holes in the trunk itself.
The effect
and
of
it gives
time.
you the effect of time. You can see the age by just looking at the trunk. And then obviously you can use all these textures and shapes to create something different, not just a simple
Trunk.
image of a tree trunk.
How much in such a photo? How much do you use the backdrop behind him to to get the
Again,
viewer to focus on the subject?
As you can see in this case, there are not very strong shadows on his face. And that's why I took the picture. He was in the shade, shaded by the tall canes, and at least there are no harsh shadows on the face there. Again, the background is important because it adds to the story in the picture. I tried to have a shallow depth of field so that you won't have a lot of things happening here and clutter, to bring the main subject into the foreground and tell the story better.
Taking photos of nature. Now taking photos of nature can be flowers, which you brought a collection with you. And then there's photos of nature, but when you're trying to picture the agro-industry of Malta, or in a wider sense, part of Maltese folklore, for example, the citrus. What colors do really strike you as part of the Maltese scenery, the Maltese agricultural scenery?
One of the actual surprising things is when you think of Malta, you don't actually think of greenery. You think of blue skies or sand colour.
Or a colourful lutsu.
Or a colourful lutsu, exactly. And one of the actual nice things actually on our visit to Gozo was that we actually went into a green area, which
in summer.
In summer, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's kind of that was actually very nice to see that it does exist. You've just once again got to
go to the
right spot. Yeah.
We're still taking photos of nature. You brought with you a collection of flowers. Now, you wouldn't link flowers with the Maltese scenery. You'd have the prickly pear, something that is more part of our agricultural heritage. So, what difference do you see between taking photos of, for example, citrus trees in Malta and flowers? Do you find flowers out of context with the Maltese scenery?
Not at all. I think, once again, it depends on the season. I haven't actually lived here during springtime, but I've heard it's very beautiful in springtime. But as you'll see in some of these images here, are actually leaves off trees and things like that. So once again, it just comes down to application. In these cases here, these are actually sun pictures. Where you actually just get a plant and lay it down on a piece of paper and you let the sun expose it. So there's no actual processing in these. And that could be, you could go into virtually any gardens in Malta. I'm not suggesting that you go and take all the leaves off the trees, but once again, it's just a case of getting the light right and
yeah, I mean these are part of Maltese scenery as well, the dandelions.
Yeah, exactly. Sunflowers. There's plenty of flowers in Malta.
It's that we don't usually make the mental link with Maltese scenery.
No, but then again, a lot of flowers, you can still go and purchase flowers anyway, so you don't actually necessarily have to see it growing. I mean, where do you see roses growing in Malta, for example?
In gardens.
Yeah, but it's not like you see them in fields or stuff like that, so you could, purchase flowers and still photograph them.
I love a touch of red in a picture, and
Yeah. Actually,
that's John. That's John. Yeah, I mean, I had never been to this area before, and you know,
actually, it was an old quarry that
it was
rehabilitated.
Yes, you know, but the cliff face and you know the way it leads down to the point there. And I think without him, it would be a bit too.
Looks like the Grand Canyon.
And it shows, it shows the enormity of the cliff face compared to the.
So
the size
you
of
used the John actually to put him in proportion with
exactly, exactly. And we had the bonus of him being dressed in red, so.
Yeah.
Again, this wasn't the same area, but a bit further to the north.
This
is San Blas Bay.
San Blas Bay.
It's a picturesque bay, and I took the picture
looking at the color of the sea, okay? This happens to be a green kind of reflection on the water. How much did you ever work at setting up a relationship between the color of the sea and the structures or the rock formations surrounding it? Is it?
Well, it's there. It is coincidental, but I mean, there is, as you say, there is strong contrast between the warmth of the stone and the nice cool color of the water.
Now, in the moment, I am mending the Lampuki net, because now it's the season of Lampuki. The season of Lampuki starts in the middle August, and it ends nearly Christmas.
And besides being a typical fish of Malta, what is the Lampuki fish like?
The Lampuki, for the people of Malta, is a fish that everybody likes. It's a fish that grows slowly, like everything, from the first, as I told you, from the 1st of August, it will be at about 200 grams, and then in the last of the season, it will be nearly 2 kilos. So all the time, the families can buy, or the consumer, what you call it, can buy Lampuki at each size they prefer. And in the meantime, we catch also with this net, we can pilot fish, it's called in English, it's farm-free in Maltese. And also we catch some tuna, small tuna, but not with the net, with the hooks, with the feather.
Is this a family business that you run?
You know, here in Marsashlok, if you're not a fisherman grown, you're not being a fisherman, because all the family, to work, you have to get a hand from all the family, from the wife, from the children, from everybody.
We met Hector, fisherman, in Marsashlok. He was mending the nets, and we actually spoke with him about his industry. What struck you behind the camera?
When you shoot people in the agro industry, fishermen, farmers, I think it's not just me, I think it's everybody. The thing which strikes you most is that just looking in their face, you can see that these people have been in contact with the land, in contact with the sea, in contact with the sun.
With the weather?
With the weather. It shows in their face. And I think they're quite unique subjects to photograph.
In this case, we were right on a Lutsu. And when you take photos, for example, of a fisherman, do you look at the fisherman as a worker or as part of folklore? For example, do you have when you take photos, do you have the romantic notion of the fisherman?
Yes, Yes, I mean, he is a worker, definitely, but it's part of the folklore. I mean, fishing in Malta is part and parcel of our folklore, of our culture. So yes, you do. You do think of him in that way.
Channel, what station?
Don't forget to unplug your set.
Li tgħin turista taqsam it-triq mhux tad-daħ. Lanqas li tgħinu jfittex restorant. Lit-turisti għejnhom u kulħadd imur tajjeb.